And I'll be very honest with you, I don't smell anything but straight alcohol. Now, I will warn you, I have no clue what I'm doing here with this wine. So definitely, I'd appreciate it if you help me grow and help me understand what's going on. Leave a comment in the comment section, of course. Leave any questions that you would like for me to answer, or maybe something you'd like to give me some advice or tips on. I really would appreciate any help whatsoever. And of course, hit the subscribe button and the bell as well. It's called Old Grenache Vines. The vintage is a 2019, and the varietal is Grenache behind this bottle. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to pop this baby open. We're going to put it in the decanter for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to serve ourselves a small taste as soon as I add into the decanter, and we're going to pour another taste after a couple of minutes in the decanter. Just see if I can distinguish some of the notes or some of the tastes in the wine from the very beginning that I open the bottle and afterwards when I give it a couple of minutes to breathe. Got my trusty corkscrew that I was able to purchase from my good friends over at Cellar Rat, which is also where I found this bottle of wine. Thank you to Mr. Ken from Cellar Rat, Kansas City, Missouri. Those guys are completely amazing, very, very helpful, super knowledgeable, and you know what, they take people like myself by the hand, truly. So let's try to open this bottle. Old Garnacha Vines. So this one's got 14.5% alcohol by volume. The producer and bottled by Bodega Virgen de la Sierra in Spain. So let's go ahead and pour this. Let's pour this in here. But you know what? Let's pour ourselves a little bit, just to taste a little bit before we put it into the decanter. And we're going to put the rest in the decanter now. All right. There she goes. So I'm going to let that sit for a little bit, just get a little bit of air, start breathing, and see what it does with time a little bit. So we've got a little bit here in this glass, just to check it out. So couple of things real quick. Once again, I'm very new at this. I'm just learning the techniques to tasting. And so, of course, the first rule of tasting is more of sight, right? So, step one, let's look at the wine, see what it looks like, and just determine a little bit from there, right? So, what I'm doing here is I'm just leaning it over here onto the cloth. So, I've got this white tablecloth on here, luckily, so that I can better determine the color of the wine in this. So, it's got to me, at least without going into deep into the wine terms, this has like a sort of pale ruby color, like a pale red, almost not burgundy, and definitely not purple like grape juice you would think, right? So it's got a nice color. It's a nice little red color. It's almost a little bit see-through-ish. I can see my fingers through there. Of course, I didn't pour so much in there, right? And we're just gonna let it swirl a little bit. So the swirling, from what I've understood, is to introduce some oxygen into the wine, open it up a little bit, and just allow that to smoothen out a little bit more before you get a nice little taste in it. So now I'm not a professional swirler here either, right? So we're still gonna give it a shot. I don't know if you could see there some of the tears coming down on that. Nice thin legs coming down. And I'll do a video here very soon on what the hell are legs and what does it mean, because I also still don't know yet, right? But, so let's keep swirling this around just a little bit. And what we're going to do is step number 2 is the nose, right? We're going to smell the wine. Hopefully it doesn't smell bad. Apparently if you get like a cardboard smell behind it, or sort of quirky, then of course that just sounds the alarms, because the wine is no longer good. But hopefully everything is going to go just fine. Since I purchased it from Cellarite, I've had it in my little wine fridge that I have. It's a little small 12-bottle wine fridge, so it should be just fine. But let's give it a check out here. Let's put it up to our nose. So now that we've taken a whiff on it, let's go ahead and step over to step number 3, and let's give this baby a nice little taste. So if you're following along and you've got a glass of wine in your hand, cheers, salud. Let's give this a little taste and see what we get, right? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it does not taste terrible whatsoever. It is really nice. It is really good. Very smooth. I will admit that I was afraid that it smelled so much like alcohol that it was just going to sting the back of my throat. It was going to burn, and it wasn't going to be pleasant. However, I'm glad I was completely wrong there, because it tastes really, really good. However, even on that note, I'm trying to figure some flavors out. I'm trying to figure out something from it, and still smelling it, I still get that alcohol smell. I can't distinguish the taste yet. So, welcome to my world. This is a channel about tasting wine that tastes like alcohol and maybe some grapes, but that's as far as I'm getting. So with that note being in hand, let's take another test. Okay. So I'm getting something, and it's all the same thing again. I'm not getting very much of anything. It tastes, I guess, grapey. I don't know if that makes sense. The alcohol is not coming across as strong as I was thinking. So it tastes really, really good. Really good. It tastes really well. Definitely recommend this to my fellow newbies as well. This is a really delicious wine. And this is just, a direct pour from the bottle. So we're going to give the decanter here a couple of minutes. We're going to come right back and we're going to give it another taste. All right, everyone. So that was a very quick transition. So now that we've let the wine aerate and just decant here for quite a few minutes, it's definitely been a little bit over 30 minutes. Let's go ahead and pour ourselves a glass, see if I can distinguish any differences in the smell and in the taste. So let's pour ourselves nice little bit here for us. Perfect. Now, so earlier I did mention, a little bit about the color wise, and, looking at it a little bit more, I did see a little bit more of a brick color kind of layer to it. Almost a little bit of a brownish tint to it earlier that I just couldn't really understand what I was looking at. So we've got this in here now. We're swirling it around. No need to do any of that extra stuff, of course. Just A, I'm nervous, and B, I don't know what I'm doing. So let's redo this again. Hey, this is a trial and error kind of channel. We're here to learn step by step and, acquire and, build our palate one bottle at a time. So let's go ahead and start with step number 1. Like we said, we already checked it out. We gave it a nice look. Still has that nice ruby color on it. Very, more like a little toasty reddish kind of color, almost like a red clay kind of. So now what we're going to do is just quick little swirl and choose a little bit of oxygen again in there, even though it's been in the decanter for a minute. Let's take a whiff and see if we can detect anything different besides that alcohol smell that I was getting earlier, right? Well, I'll say this: I'm surprised. I can definitely detect something, and what I detect is that smell of alcohol isn't as pungent as it was earlier. It's not as strong. It gives me a little bit of a fruity smell, and I'm not gonna lie to you and tell you that it smells, like all these kind of aromas that I'm getting. Of course not, but it's definitely not. It's definitely not alcoholic. I don't smell alcohol anymore. I do smell a little bit like, I don't want to be so obvious, but it's sort of a grapey smell to it. Obviously, it is grapes in there, right? But it's, at least I'm picking something up, right? So let's go ahead and jump over to step number 3, and let's give this a taste and see if there's anything different in here. We were able to detect a little bit of difference in the color, a little bit of a difference in the smell. See if the tastes come to me. See if I can pick anything else up from this glass of wine. Wow. So it definitely tastes different. It almost tastes sort of mellow, really smooth. Still lingers in your tongue a little bit, but it's definitely a lot smoother. Wow, that's really tasty. That tastes very good. Wow. So I can't I can't really distinguish any flavors off of it yet, but it tastes really good. It tastes really smooth. It goes down easy. I can't taste that alcohol. Very little. You have a little alcohol aftertaste and a little bit in the back of the throat kind of taste, but nothing crazy. And it tastes really good. Wow. Again, something I definitely recommend to everybody who's a new into wine and really wants to start appreciating the complexity of wine, just as I'm doing now. So, you know, a Grenache wine is something I really would recommend. And this wine here that you could pick up at Cellar Rat, Casey Merchants, is something I would definitely recommend. I don't think I paid too much for it. It was definitely under 15 bucks. So it's a really tasty wine, budget friendly, really nice. Man, and that just really tastes really good. It's just something that you can really sip on. Guys, thank you very much for following along on this journey here with me, and hopefully, you know, we can bring you some more videos, some more wines. And you know what? That's just what this channel is going to be all about. It's just me tasting a bunch of wines, trying to grow my palate, trying to really understand the complexity and the beauty of these wines. You know, starting from locally sourced wines from here in Missouri to U.S. wines from all the way from Napa to Oregon to New York and even across the pond